Today I want to review my Kawasaki Versys. This is going to be my 650 and I've had it for a couple years and I really like it and I wanted to talk about it. So as a rider, I'm just over 200 pounds, about 210 right now, about 6 foot, maybe 6'1" on a good day. So I'm a little taller, I have about a 33-inch inseam, and this bike is fairly tall. I have an aftermarket seat on it and that's a little wider. It's like the Sergeant seat and it's fairly tall. It's unapologetically tall and it feels pretty raw. And this is the 2009, so they've updated this bike quite a bit. So this is the 2009 version. There are quite a few more iterations. This is the first generation of the Kawasaki Versys. And with the first generation, I really like it because it has the same engine as the Ninja, and it's just bored out just a little bit, so you have a little bit more low-end torque. The Ninja had more oomph from about 5,000 to 8,000 RPMs, but this bike is pretty nice. It's very nice. So this has a couple of modifications on it. This seat is not stock. This is not stock as well, so there's just a couple of things that I've done to it. Down here at the bottom, normally there's some plastics. I did put a little rock guard on it, and over here I also have a little rock guard on here. So you'll see a couple of things that aren't stock. Also, the previous owner cut this a little bit right here and he flipped this upside down, so this isn't stock either. Other than that, oh, and these are not stock either. So there's done a few modifications on it, but the engine is stock. You know, the way it rides, it's going to be pretty standard to what you would normally see on a bike. So it's a great bike, and all in all, it's just it works really well. The 0 to 60 on this bike is excellent. It goes from about 0 to 60, I think spec 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds. It can do 0 to 60 in about 4.8 seconds with me riding it, which is still pretty good. Under 5 seconds for a bike that you can pick up for $3,000 to $4,000 is pretty amazing. In terms of fun factor, I have so much fun with this bike. It can do off-road a little bit. It is a heavy bike, so I purchased a KLX 250S because I didn't really like the way that this performed off-road. So getting into single track, it was not great, but taking this down a gravel road, not a problem. Hard pack, not a problem. I've done miles and miles and miles of hard pack or gravel road, or even just a little bit of sand if it's not too crazy, and it works with these slick tires. I am running Pilot Road 4s on the front and rear, and they work extremely well. I know they're kind of expensive tires, but they really work well. In terms of the suspension, it's got plenty of suspension for what it is. This is a 650 and it gets about 45 to 50 miles to the gallon when you're just riding normally. So nothing too spectacular there. The first thing is going to be the vibration. The actual engine vibrates a little bit. You can get bar end weights to help with the vibration. I took them off to put these on, so I feel a little vibration when I'm riding. After 100 miles or 150 miles, you start to feel it for sure for me. It is a taller bike. It's unapologetically tall. So if you're shorter, you have a hard time reaching the ground, this might not be the bike for you. It's fairly porky, I think it's around 400 pounds the way I have it right now. So I don't know the spec exactly, but it's not a light bike by any stretch of the imagination. And it has the street bike things. There's a couple things that I don't like about the actual maintenance. Even if you want to do something as simple as changing or cleaning the air filter, you have to take off the entire gas tank to get there because the air filter is way down here. So maintenance is fine. I mean, just changing the oil, super easy, of course. The battery is going to be right here, super great. It works extremely well. So this bike is awesome. It can do a power wheelie in first gear. So if you're first gear going about 15 miles an hour, you can just crank on the throttle and you'll lift the front tire, no problem. This is stock gearing as well, so you could gear it, actually put a larger ring on the other side and make it a wheelie machine if you wanted to do that. I don't get the rush. There was this rush that I felt when I was accelerating with the Ninja 650. For some reason, from about 6,000 to 8,000 or 6,000 to 9,000 on my Ninja 650, it felt a little bit scary. And I've never gotten this feeling with this bike, and I don't know if it's because I rode the 650 first. That was my first like sport bike that I had purchased. And this was like the next one, but it's very linear power. It's very easy to get used to, and there's really no surprises when it comes to this bike. I think the couple big things on it is that it's tall, it's a little buzzy, and just like any other sport bike, getting to the air filter is going to be kind of annoying. So I put 4,000 miles onto this bike. I've had it for a couple years. I only ride about 2,000 miles a year. I haven't gone on any big road trips, but it's flawless. It starts right up every single time. It's an amazing machine. I really love Kawasaki. They are very, very, they're a little clunky. Their gearboxes are a little clunky, but man, do they work. They just work and they just go. So in terms of recommendations, would I buy the Kawasaki Versys again? Yes, I would. It's an awesome motorcycle. It does everything that you want it to do and a little bit more than that. There's another thing that I wanted to talk about. I did also own the V-Strom 650. My V-Strom was a lot newer than this one. It was a 2014, but it only had like 2,000 miles on it. It was very, very nice. And this bike feels more playful to me than the V-Strom. It's easier to flick around. It's a smaller bike. It has just as much power. And the V-Strom felt a little bit more at home on the street though. I'm not sure if the V-Strom has a longer wheelbase than this, but it sure feels like it has a longer wheelbase because it feels extremely planted. It feels more of like one of those cruiser bikes that you're gonna hop on, you're gonna ride for a while. So this feels a little more around town fun, playful, and just a really great bike. I really like both of the bikes. If I was going to choose between a V-Strom and the Kawasaki Versys, I think I would pick the Kawasaki Versys. It just fits my style of riding just a little bit better. But they're very, very similar motorcycles. I really like both of them. You really can't go wrong with any of them. So I guess that's really the point of this is if you want a V-twin, that's a 650 that has a little bit more suspension travel that you can take on gravel roads. This works flawlessly. So I really love the cockpit of this bike, and it's one of my favorite bikes that I've ever owned. And I'm gonna sell it. Wait, what? You're gonna sell one of your favorite bikes that you've ever owned? Yes, well, I've had like 14 different bikes in my lifetime, and it's time to move on. It's a problem, and I can't stop. It's just something that I do. So I started on a Harley Dyna 1340 lowrider, and then I've kind of worked my way down the stack. I've had a Sportster, another Harley, then my dad had a Road King, rode that for a long time, and then I kind of got into the smaller bikes, and I got my Ninja 650, then I rode that for a while, then I got some 250s, and I was a little disappointed with 250s for a while, so I decided to go back up to a higher displacement bike. But as I've gotten older, I've really come to love the fact of just like the small displacement 250 or lower motorcycles. They are so much fun to ride in town because in town I can go through all 6 gears on a tiny little motorcycle where I don't have that option on a larger motorcycle. But really, I love small displacement motorcycles. So I'm going to be selling this motorcycle, and I'm probably going to be getting either a Honda Grom or a Z125 instead. I'm just going to get a dorky little motorcycle that can only go 60 miles an hour. And that's a far cry from what I have right now. Am I going to miss the power? Yes. Am I going to miss going on the highway and being able to do all of that stuff? Yes, probably, but not really. So that's kind of my thought process. I'm just going to go for some super low displacement. And honestly, I don't have enough room in my garage to fit another motorcycle. So I've got a little space over there. I'm already taking up too much space with my KLX 250S. So I've got my KLX 250S right here. I'm going to keep this one. So I'm going to have a bike that is highway capable. It's not fun, but it's highway capable. I can go 70 miles an hour on the highway with that thing. And then on the Grom or on the Z125, I'll be able to go a little bit slower and definitely not highway capable, but I could take like back highways going 55, 60 miles an hour. If I ring it out, I could definitely do that. But I'm going to try it. And this has been, again, it's been a great chapter, but time to move on. This bike is such a fun bike. I hope the next person who purchases this bike has as much fun on it as I did because I had an absolute blast on this thing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye now.